How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Palantir. It's been a minute since we talked about it on this channel, but I'm getting a lot of questions about it. It had a slight pullback on the Friday, and I do see some upside in this play, and I'll give you guys a breakdown of how I feel about it. So I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know the support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Palantir. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $12.97, being down 3.14%. On the low, it tested $12.71, and then on the high, testing $13.40. When we take a look at our volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 24.797 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 42.967 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, and it's part of the reasons why we've seen some weakness in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 54.48. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, but we are above the 21-day EMA and as well as the 50-day. So as you can see, just like many other stocks in the market, Palantir had quite the run. We could see it tested lows around $10.33 and making a move going all the way till it saw some resistance right here around $13.45. And as far as for the high of the day on the Friday, it was around $13.40. So if you're looking for a breakout from Palantir, then you'd want to see if it can get to $15, which I feel is a very doable level as we go into the month of April, especially with earnings coming up on May the 10th. I don't see why Palantir can't come back to reclaiming $15. But when we take a look at what the price action is right now, and if it decides I have a pullback for this coming week, then I'm going to be expecting support to actually hold up here at $12. So coming down here to $12, anyone who might be interested in a swing trade, I would be looking to see if this level can hold. If it does break through this level, then of course I'd want to see some strength around $11.50. But I see Palantir being able to hold up at least 12, and then going into April, we should see some more strength, consolidate, and then have that next move up. So that's why I'd say you want to keep a very close eye on this play, because so far it's looking pretty good and there is demand in the market for the stock. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Palantir. As we scroll down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at our recent filings here, we have from March 25th, DWS Global Income Builder that purchased 2,582 shares. Scrolling down more for the 24th, we have Sun America Series Trust that purchased 1,877 shares. And then we can see for the 23rd, we have some closed positions coming from the First Trust Company and 4 of their different portfolios. And then we have City State Bank that purchased 4,200 shares. And scrolling down even more for the 17th, we have LBMC Investment Advisors LLC that purchased just over 19,000 shares. And for the 15th, we have Yorktown Capital Income Fund Class L shares that purchased just under 15,000. But one thing to take notice of, we have Norges Bank for March the 9th that purchased just over 14.7 million shares of Palantir. And another thing that I want to bring to your attention as well, when we see how institutions have been loading up as of late, you could see for March they have been loading up fairly heavy and a lot heavier than what we have seen from previous months. So that is one thing you want to keep an eye on and what gives you confidence as well as a long-term investor. And then when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 43.98%, and then for the daily off-exchange short volume, it is just over 4.4 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 6 minutes ago. And then for the short ball fee rate, it is at 0.25%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 24th, it was at 39.34. And then for the close of the 25th, being at 43.98. So one thing that is clear, Palantir does continue to have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Palantir. So we can see on the inflow, it's at 42.48 million, and then on the outflow, it's at 34.64 million. So we had an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown on the large, it was 1.10. On the medium, it was 26.77, and then on the small, it was 14.61. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 22.04, and then on the small, it was 12.60. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for March 25th, we had an inflow of 1.1 million. And we could also see on the 23rd, we had an inflow of 1.4 million. And on the 22nd, we had an inflow of 7.17 million. So you could clearly see over the past 5 trading days, institutions and whales have been loading up. When we take a look at the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, you could see that we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the large represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it is at 1.22%. So this is a solid range right here for Palantir, knowing that it does see a lot of attention when it comes to social media and there's a lot of retail investors. So let's go into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for Palantir, when it comes to the price action, I'm actually expecting this stock to be around $15 going into earnings in May. And part of the reasons behind that, April is known for being a strong month for the stock market. And we know if Palantir runs alongside with the market overall, especially for the tech sector, it will see some gains. And we know there is a lot of retail interest. You hear about it everywhere on social media as well. And I feel like this can help the stock move further. Plus on top of that, any catalyst that can come out. For the price action now, if we end up having a pullback at these current levels, I want to see support hold up at $12. I feel this is very doable for this coming week. But if it does break through that $12 level, I think it does provide an opportunity for anyone who is interested, especially if you're a long-term investor. For my swing traders, if you are going to be taking an entry, if it decides to pull back to $12, just make sure that you have your stop loss in place. You want to make sure that you're using the right risk management and you're still giving yourself enough room to ride this trend when the stock starts turning back up. And this is going to be happening in the near term. Again, I am not guaranteeing this. This is not financial advice, but that's what I'm seeing from the technicals. I'm seeing some consolidation at the current levels, and it just looks like it's ready to make a move to the upside. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we could clearly see institutions have been loading up on shares, and they've been loading up heavy, especially at the beginning of the month when Palantir had its big time pullback. So this is one thing you want to be aware of if you are a retail investor, and that's why I say always do your homework. It could pay off big time, and you could be riding up these gains like these institutions have been doing when they bought the dip. And then when we took a look at the short interest information, Palantir does continue to have short squeeze potential. So that's why I'm saying keep an eye on the catalyst, keep an eye on the entire sector as a whole, and Palantir could run up. And that is why I say you want to have high conviction in the plays that you're in. And if you want to play the gap fill to the upside, it is around $13.66. So once it fills in that gap, I'm expecting for support to be built above this level, have us consolidate, and then we make that move to $15 like I've been speaking about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how the stock performs for this coming week. We'll talk soon.